Hello, and welcome to my channel. Here I do movie reviews, and today I watched the new film from Netflix, Damsel. It's about a young princess who is married off to a foreign prince for money, only for her to discover that the marriage was a lie. She learns that her new family intends to sacrifice her to a dragon to pay an ancient debt. It's a fantasy adventure that takes place in a medieval world. The story was written by Dan Mazzao, and the film was directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. It stars Millie Bobby Brown as Princess Elodie, Shohreh Aghdashloo as the dragon, and Robin Wright as Queen Isabel. This dramatic tale starts with a quick flashback and then spends about a half hour setting up the premise, introducing its characters, and giving us a few hints about what's to come. We meet Princess Elodie, her younger sister Floria, and her stepmother and father, Lord and Lady Bayford. They lead a poor nation and are doing everything in their power to scrounge up enough money to get their people through the winter. Then we're introduced to the Kingdom of Oria and their promise of wealth. It's a fertile land hidden in the shadows of a great mountain. Its royalty maintains a strict adherence to their traditions and are beloved by the people. They're led by King Roderick and Queen Isabel, who offer their son Prince Henry in marriage. After about half an hour of introduction, the story kicks off, and it's nothing but non-stop action and twists and turns for the rest of the film. We watch as Elodie evades the great dragon and attempts to find her way through a maze of tunnels and caves. Along the way, she discovers a plethora of mysteries like magical bugs, a wall of crystal, and dark secrets that were buried long ago. With nothing but her wits and clues left behind by those who came before her, Elodie must find a way out of the caves and back to her family. The story is filled with dramatic prose and follows a heroine fighting for survival. It's an octane-fueled adventure with a thick fantasy flavor. The cast is made up of a few actors playing the royalty of both families, a few extras playing servants and the people of their kingdoms, and a few unnamed princesses who appear in visions. Most of the screen time is spent with Princess Elodie, an intelligent young woman who loves travel and puzzles. She isn't afraid to do hard labor and puts her people above her own well-being. She's determined, kind, and incredibly stubborn. Opposite her is Queen Isabel, a cruel woman whose trickery knows no bounds. After arranging the marriage, she does everything in her power to ensure that Elodie doesn't survive. She manipulates those around her and tries to keep everything for herself. The visual journey mostly takes place in a series of caves with a little bit of time spent inside the two kingdoms at the start, and then again toward the end. It's a magical-looking adventure made out of CGI, sound stages, and a few practical locations. The journey involves a couple of stunts, a lot of running away from the dragon, and a little bit of gore as the dragon eats her victims and burns them to death with her lava breath. The cast are all dressed in medieval European garb, and the knights carry swords, shields, and crossbows. Sound-wise, the film makes use of scored orchestral instrumentals that fit into the fantasy adventure category. It makes the world and everything in it feel a bit magical, and reinforces all of the atmosphere and emotion the story has to offer. It's a versatile soundtrack that comes with a variety of different emotions and flavors. It's highly prominent throughout the film, making a big splash in every scene. Okay, I want to start by saying I like the premise of this film, most of its soundtrack, the acting, and I like the creativity in its visuals. They managed to create a fun adventure with a lot of cool looking moments in it. The bugs Elodie encounters, the dragon breath, and most of the action looked awesome and had me wanting more. The visual journey as a whole looked great, and they did a good job of creating the sets. The castle they filmed in was awesome. The cast also did well with the material they were given. Angela Bassett and Ray Winston played Elodie's parents, and both of them managed to play likable but nuanced characters. Then you had Robin Wright doing a nasty queen. It was a bit simple, but she's easy to hate, and set her character up in a flash. For the two leads, you had Millie Bobby Brown and Shohreh Aghdashloo, both of whom did a solid job. Brown is playing your typical heroine with a heart of gold. She shows lots of emotions throughout the story and does a great job of her fear and pain reactions while running away from the dragon. Aghdashloo's dragon is a sinister character that's hiding pain underneath the surface. She doesn't get to do quite as much as the others, but she hits every line perfectly and creates a scary character that you come to understand over time. The soundtrack behind it all is one of the best parts. Despite being generic fantasy music, it's used to maximum effect. It draws a wellspring of emotion from the scenery and heightens each and every moment. It's never too loud and doesn't compete with the dialogue, while also adding non-stop flavor. They tossed all kinds of emotional wrenches at the audience, and none of them are dodgeable. Having said all that, this film does have a few problems. The writing, for starters, is highly cliché. The dialogue is somewhat pompous and cumbersome, and there are holes in the story everywhere that they don't even attempt to address. The more the story reveals, the more questions you end up with, and the less any of it makes sense. You start with a generic hero, a basic villain, and a dragon who barely gets developed. You don't really care about any of them beyond the basic good versus evil struggle because you never get to know them or their aspirations in any real depth. The twists and turns are also highly predictable, and the story doesn't really have stakes. Elodie is in real danger a grand total of 2 times, and she finds a magic cure to any and all wounds halfway through the journey. It's hard to feel concerned for her after that. The cast struggled with the dialogue the entire time. There was lots of prose and archaic language mixed in with modern terminology and ideals. It sounded clunky and bad. The younger actors really struggled at times to get through it, and even the older actors seemed a bit stumped by it occasionally. Visually, the film also has quite a few moments of bad CGI that can be hard to take seriously. They use CGI a lot for the background, and most of the time it's okay, but there are also moments where the textures are flat out wrong and just looking at it is immersion breaking. The more of it they use in a shot, the worse the shot looks. Overall, Damsel is a decent film with a cliche story. It's got halfway decent visuals, a strong soundtrack, and good acting. If you like fantasy adventures, give it a try. It's not going to blow your mind or anything, but it's good for a fun afternoon. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 6 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye.